Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves some tracks off an EP titled Devil in Daylight by Woodwire Sunday. And if we switch over to here, my understanding of this project is that it's something that JC Croyle, a musician I reviewed quite a bit of music from in various other projects, as well as the JC Croyle one. This is something else they've been working on for the last little while there. Woodwire Sunday is a rock project with its roots in the Old West with some dark subject matter. It can be at times a social commentary on the world today. And we're going to be listening through 3 of the tracks off of this EP today: Devil, Graveyard Sins, and Dear Daddy. So we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start to finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Just get that album nice and big there. And yeah, let's go. Devil. Yeah, it does have that kind of old-timey steel string kind of vibe, doesn't it? Oh. I'm liking the layering of the different elements. Like, the song's been developed really well. Like, I liked how we had the guitars come in, then the vocals, the bass and drums, and those lead lines as well fade in. Like, the violining that's been going on is dope. The violining on the volume part, you know. Devil sounds like a complete son of a bitch, man. It's got some bluesy intonations as well here with the way we're phrasing these lines. Oh, so we don't want to move away the fact of what Devil's doing? Oh, that's a bit of a juxtaposition there thematically, isn't it?
Devil's hands burn my skin.
Great increased intensity there gradually with those drums. It's a very somber sort of situation we're going on here with Devil, the first track of this EP. It does have that old-timey kind of rock and blues vibe to it. The phrasing of it as well, with the 3 different verses, with the AABB kind of structure there. You know, the line kind of repeated, and then we have the opposite repeated in the second part there. It just sounds like someone who is going through a terrible time, you know, almost a life-threatening situation, but they don't want it to stop. So that is some incredibly dark subject matter, but that's okay. We were warned beforehand. But yep, good opening track. We got Graveyard Sins, track number 3 now. Okay, continuing with that guitar tone there. I like the way the lead guitars are tracked. It kind of reminds me of some of the Metallica early mid-90s stuff off of Load and Reload a little bit, you know? The 16th note groove on the hi-hats, man, I dig it. I think the 8th would have just been a little bit too slow. It would have been a little bit too empty sounding, you know?
And Devil's sand, the lonely man's friend is a casket's hand.
The lonely man's friends are the casket's hand.
When you've had too much, and you might give in. It's a lonesome walk to the graveyards of sins.
Great unison between the bass line and the guitar there, or different guitar lines.
Don't matter what take you in for free. Take it in this morning, though, that instead you'll finally see. You'll finally see a mix of death and devil's sand.
So is this like a rolling sort of transition throughout the CP? Like, is this one story split into 5 chapters?
Lonely man's friend is a casket's hand. When you've had too much and you might give in, it's a lonesome walk to the graveyard of sins. To the graveyard sins.
I like the way the bass is so supportive of the guitar groove and the drums without overstaying its welcome. There's also a sense of emptiness, you know, with the lack of lead elements in that mid-range. Yeah, it's some moments, not all the time. Obviously, sometimes it's quite busy, but other times it's quite empty, and I like that contrast there.
And even if you change that man, you may never be heard from again. It's a mix of death and devil's sand. A lonely man's friend is a casket's hand. When you've had too much and you might give in, it's a lonesome walk to the graveyard sins. To the graveyard. To the graveyard sins.
The way that we're singing here, we've got this wispy kind of throaty performance here that's very sort of like almost, I don't know whether it's introspective or like, it's like we've lived this all before and we've gotten out of it alive or something like that, you know? Or maybe we haven't and we're telling us in the afterlife, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's again, some more really heavy subject matter. I think it's about, you know, like dealing with the concept of feeling like you just could kind of like give it up and lose everything and not even be bothered by it, but being told that, you know, if you do that, just know that it is going to be very lonely. You're going there alone, that it's not gonna necessarily improve. You know what I mean? I genuinely feel as if this Devil in Daylight is talking about like themes of like you know, suicide and maybe some mental health issues and stuff like that. Just things that people used to in the Old West, roots in the Old West. You know, like the stuff people used to deal with and not particularly well. You know, I do like those country kind of bluesy elements here. They work really well. It's a nice change of pace from what J.C. Croyle has brought forward previously with Woodwire Sunday. Dear Daddy, track number 4, or 3 for today.
Annie sits home in her room, her happy place for the last 12 years.
I'm almost wondering if there could have been more low end in the vocal recording. Like, I know we've definitely filtered and notched it so that it's present.
Bunnies in pink line the
It's almost like there's now too much of a supplementary kind of
walls
like
of the
high-end
place
resonance.
she's shed the most tears. Dear Daddy, can't you see what you did to me? Dear Daddy, be the father you need to be. Dear Daddy, you are in my dreams. Dear Daddy, the waiting is worse than what will come.
I mean, again, this is a different angle, I suppose, with the woman, like the little girl has been abused. You know, dear daddy, like, well, look what you've done. How am I supposed to live with this?
Father comes home in an hour or so. Maybe he won't be that drunk tonight.
Alcoholism.
She hears the footsteps, no place to go. Dear
There's an...
Daddy,
a subtle aggression from that guitar tone there. But that wow of those guitar lines sounding like they're crying out. Great color with those fills there. I like the choice of toms to add a bit more sort of like percussive melody to it, I suppose.
And she gets hit and she goes down.
Yep, switch of pace there.
That's just the start, 'cause there's no one around.
Change of the chord for that second part. Dope.
Takes
Cool.
off her dress and he goes to town. No one finds out, 'cause she makes no sound.
Oh.
Father walks across the dim lit hall.
Oh, that makes me so thoroughly uncomfortable, dude.
He gets a small glass and gets his own drink. And he goes and lies on her bed. Then she cries herself to sleep.
This is awful. Like, the storytelling is authentic, and that, you know, that whispery sound without a sound, you know, like that there made sense because you were whispering because it was quiet, but oh, it sent chills down my spine, dude. I didn't like that.
Dear Daddy, can't you see what you did to me? Dear
Very
Daddy,
affecting, you know.
be the father you need to be. Dear Daddy, you are in my dreams. Dear Daddy.
Wow. Woodwire Sunday. Okay. What do I think this track is about? I think that genuinely this track is about, I honestly think it's about like the sins, the devils of everyday life, you know. The horrific stuff we go through on an everyday basis, people dealing in abusive relationships, you know, or just being masochistic with devil, graveyard sins, you know, the sin of like killing yourself and dealing with that, the temptation, but knowing the implication of doing that is maybe not going to fix your problems, even if you think it's going to be a swift end. And Dear Daddy, which is about a daughter who gets sexually abused by her abusive alcoholic father. It's it's terrible stuff. You know, very vivid imagery there, especially in Dear Daddy. I didn't like it. It just made me really uncomfortable. It's a well-written track. The lyrics are done well, but it's not a good vibe, man. It's not a good vibe. I don't think it was meant to be, though. Of course, you know, we literally got warned in the bio that it wouldn't be. So fair call, man. Fair do. But the vocals on these tracks were great. The melodies made sense. We had an octave range of like 1 to 1.5 that we were comfortable with staying within. And I think that it works well for that kind of wispy, kind of like breathy vocal style there. You know, like someone who is looking at it all from afar at like a dimly lit bar, maybe in a saloon in the old days. It was a very bluesy performance to it, but without any sort of like aggression or anger. It was more like just recanting what occurred in a way which is like almost too cynical to believe. It's phenomenally, it's probably one of the better vocal performances I've heard. Like Dear Daddy was really well done. I just didn't, the fact that it made me so uncomfortable is kind of the point. So I suppose that is a very successful vocal performance, but there were catchy vocal melodies in here. We were reasonably comfortable within our head and chest voices. I mean, like, and we just had the single vocals for most, if not all of the time, but that worked well. We didn't need to have too much complexity to the vocal harmonies or anything like that. It was fine. I think the tracks at like 2 to 3.5 minutes, you know, max are great length, you know. It's great there. We're kind of considering the fact we don't need to tell a big story in a song for it to be impactful. And what I like about the EP is that we're clearly aware of the fact that maybe the new listeners to our project, we don't have a lot of time to listen to new tunes. I know I don't, even though I listen to new music every day. It's, you know, it's my job, you know, it's my job to do that. But not a lot of people get that time to do it in their day unless they're actively or proactively looking for it. So, You know, it's great that we've got the tracks at 2 to 3 minutes. We had really succinct, competent performances on those guitars, bass, and drums. You know, the steel string kind of gritty rhythm leads there, rhythm parts on the guitar with the kind of the feathery, reverb-laden lead parts here, which came with those blues and pentatonic scales and lead lines there. They're never overplayed. Yeah, it was pretty ferocious. And how like empty and void like it felt. The drums were fantastic. They're like JC Kroll's specialty, so like I'm not surprised that they were confident. Lots of different quarter 8, 16th note grooves. There were some interesting tone fills there. I liked the dynamic range of the performance. I like we understood when to go hard and when to go kind of like a little bit more intense. We had great sort of idea and understanding and nuance, and we had range within these recordings that allowed us to enjoy it for the 3 or so minutes that were with each one without becoming disinterested or apathetic towards it. They were short enough that they were like bite-sized, like popcorn. So the only real thing you could do to kind of screw a track with tracks with, you know, good stories, you know, simple, easy to understand stories with, you know, vocals that definitely suited the genre and the story that they were telling. And if the tracks were short enough that they were easy to listen to, and if the instrument performances were well done with some kind of grungy, kind of bluesy, kind of like rocky stuff going on there. Yeah, the only thing that can kind of screw up the motifs with you know, the fact that they sounded like the story. The riffs that were there sounded like the story, and there was a great sort of crying out and depression to the whole thing. It's just the recording, mixing, mastering, studio production kind of things. I liked the way the vocals were done. I'm wondering if there was a little bit of peak in the high end and the frequency spectrum, but aside from that, it was good. They were notched and filtered well. They were nice and bright and easy to understand and very present. The drums were done well as well. I'm happy with the way that they were mixed and EQ'd and stuff like that. The kick had a nice sort of tone they made. Again, like a lot of the instruments sounded like mid-90s kind of Metallica-esque kind of stuff to me, which is not an insult. It's a compliment. You know, they're working in $1 million studios, so it just goes to show, you know, like, well, you know, nowadays, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can do whatever the hell you want. You know, it's great. It's awesome. You know, on an independent level, I mean, you know, the guitars, they sounded like they were sort of festering a little bit. I liked the rawness, the kind of grittiness of them, the tone there with those overdrives and the lead kind of FX-soaked parts there that kind of faded in and out of existence throughout. The bass was nice and thick and full sounding there and had presence in the mix. Ultimately, like, yeah, I think the mixing was done well. It was nice and wide in the stereo field. There was, the leveling was good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think the bus compressor was put at the right point. The limiting, you know, was nice and loud without pumping as well. I'd have to listen to it through different sort of systems, but I think it sounded great there studio-wise. And all in all, this is my... before I go any further, I think it's because it sounded like a live take. This all sounded like a live take, and part of that is because I know that we were playing instruments, right? We weren't kind of sampling the stuff in. So shout out to Woodwire Sunday for that. I appreciate that. It's, again... No shame on the people, or no shade towards people that do sampling, because becoming a multi-instrumentalist that is good enough to record is not easy. It takes a lot of work, and there's also a lot of talent that you can either show or acquire in production and stuff, and sampling and knowing which sound goes where. You know, no shade towards people who don't record the instruments they put in their songs. It's just, yeah, I have to give it props when I hear it. But this is my review of Devil and Daylight, 3 tracks off of that EP by Woodwire Sunday. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show some love to Woodwire Sunday via the various social medias and their Bandcamp page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.